Okay, tell me what to do.
Okay, so we make two brackets.
Good.
Yes, and then in the first one, we have 2x minus 3.
How did I get the 2x and how did I get the 3?
You put that cubic root thing.
Good. I cube rooted both of those and then I kept the same sign. Good. Okay. Next.
And then in the second one, we got 4x squared plus 6x plus 9.
How did you get the 4x squared?
I squared rooted 2.
Good. Then what was your middle term?
It was 6x.
Is it going to be a plus or a minus?
It's going to be a plus.
Good. Why is it plus 6x?
It's because it's the opposite of the first sign.
Good. And then it's the multiplication of those two. Good.
Yes,
and then what's my last term?
Plus 9.
Yes. Well done. And that's going to be our second term squared. Excellent. Nice. Great start to the lesson. Good. Okay. Do we have a brave soul for number 2 yet? Now that Owami's done number 1 for you, you can just kind of follow what she's done. She's helped you out a lot. And you can
Am I allowed to try number 2?
No, I mean, I need to hear from other people.
Okay.
But if no one volunteers, then yes.
Ma'am, can I do it?
Yes, please can you? Talk me through it.
Okay, so ma'am, in the first bracket, I said y plus 5.
Good.
And in the second bracket, it's y squared minus 5y.
Good.
Plus 25.
Excellent. Excellent. Nice, guys. So this was a difference in sum of cubes. So we have to have 2 cubed numbers and we either would have a positive or we'd have a negative. Our first one here is that first term squared. Our last term is the last term squared. And our middle term is, oh, goodness, what is that line that I've just drawn? Our middle term is the multiplication of our first 2 terms with the opposite sign. Nice job, guys. Excellent. Good. And we finished these ones nice and early because we have so much to do today. So just before I jump into the questions, I just want to do like a little bit of housekeeping. I know that that sounds weird for an online lesson, but our grade 10 class is big. If you had noticed, there's lots of us. Okay, so just to avoid sort of like anyone talking over anyone, we sort of like just a couple of things to make it a little bit easier. So if you're wanting to answer a question, if you could just find the emoji and just put the little hand up emoji, and then we can call on you. Can you all look for the emojis now so we can make sure that you can all do it? So everyone find the emojis and see if you can put the little hand up for me for a second. Great. Guys, keep them coming in. Perfect. Cool. So as soon as you want to talk, you're just going to put that little hand up emoji, and then we can call on you so that you can answer. And if we're not calling on you every time, don't panic. It's just because we're trying to give other people a try. So now you can unclick it so that your hand isn't up. And if at any point you're wanting me to slow down, you can either just write it in the chat and let me know that way. Or if I say, does anyone need to sit here any longer, you can put the little hands up emoji as well. Okay, so that's like your way of communicating with us when we're in such a big class. All right. Cool. And if we mute you, it's just because we're hearing a lot of background noise, but we'll never mute you if you're asking us a question or if you're answering something, because we like hearing your voices. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, today's lesson is mammoth. I'm just going to warn you now, we're going to bring in a lot of factorization. All of the factorization that we've done since grade 9, we're bringing into this lesson, and we're mushing it together with fractions because everyone hates fractions. So we're going to have factorization and fractions into this big mushy ball of maths that we are going to work through today. So I'm excited. I might be the only one excited, but that's okay. Okay, so let's start going through. Before we jump into the sort of harder questions, we actually need to just make sure we remember some of our fraction rules before we move on. So if we have a look at this, we've got 4x times 10 And then at the bottom, well, 4x over 5 times 10 over x. And I'm trying to multiply those together. So I could say, well, 4x times 10 is going to give me 40x, and 5 times x is going to give me 5x. And if I simplify that, 40 divided by 5 gives me 8, and my x's are going to cancel, so I just land up with 8. I can do it that way, okay, but it's a bit longer. Who thinks that they can tell me a way that can reduce my time when I'm multiplying fractions? What can I do? Canva, what can I do?
Then you can say 4x times x, then 5 times 10.
Okay, so I can look at my cross simplification, right?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
beautiful. Okay, so like Canva was saying, simplification. Geez, that word is hard to spell. I hope I got it right. Okay, if I'm looking at my cross simplification, I'm looking at those two, and I'm saying, what can go into both of those terms? And I can see that x can go into both of them, so I can cancel my x's. And then I want to look at what can go into both of those terms. And I can see, well, 5 can go into both. 5 can go into itself 1 time, and 5 can go into 10 2 times. And so what I land up with is this 4 times this 2, which just gives me 8. And so we can get to our answer a little bit quicker by using cross simplification. Now, the reason I'm saying cross simplification is because when we start dealing with factorization, cross simplifying is our friend. So it's something we need to start embracing. Okay. All right. In the next one, I've got 3w over 21 divided by 6 over 7. I'm wanting to know, and I will be so excited if anyone remembers. Those of you who were in my class last year in grade 9, does anyone remember the 3 letters that we think of when we're trying to do a division with fractions? Owami.
Ma'am, isn't it like you do a flip and change?
We do. What were my sneaky 3 letters to help us remember what to do?
You?
Think of a restaurant.
Yeah, think of it. Think of a restaurant where you eat chicken.
A lekker takeaway.
KFC. Yes, we got there. Okay. All right. So when we're doing division with fractions, we think about the letters KFC. And what KFC tells us, I'm also hungry if it helps. We've got KFC. Oh, that's KFC. K stands for keep. Then we've got flip and change. Okay, so when we have a division of fractions, we think of KFC. So we keep the first fraction, we change this, well, we flip the second fraction, and we change the sign. That's what we do when we have a division situation. Keep, flip, change. So now that we're in that situation, now we could look at cross simplifying. So we could say, well, 3 goes into itself once and into 6 2 times, and 7 goes into itself once and into 21 3 times. So I land up with 1w times 1, which is w, and 3 times 2, which is 6. Okay. Is there anything about what you're seeing on the current page right now which you would like some clarification with, or you'd like to sit on any longer? This is just kind of going over some of our fraction rules.
Ma'am, could you please repeat it again? I didn't hear.
Which one, sweetheart?
The second one.
Okay. So when we're dealing with a division with fractions, the first thing that we want to do is we want to, K for keep, we want to keep our first fraction. Then we want to F flip, we want to flip our second fraction, and then C for change, we want to change the sign. So we're going to change it from a divide to a times. And then you could at this point multiply the top and the top and the bottom on the bottom. But to make our life easier, we're going to do cross simplification. So we're going to say 3 goes into itself once and into 6 2 times. Remember, it has to be one numerator and one denominator. And 7 goes into itself once and into 21 3 times. and I'm left with 1w times 1, which is 1w, and 3 times 2, which is 6. Okay. Okay, now we need to sort of start bringing in some ideas of factors. I'm going to move on down from here. So all I've done is to give you an example of basically what we just looked at. So we've got divisions happening here. So what I'm wanting you to do there is I want you to think about which ones are going to stay put, which ones you would flip. So if you're feeling really confident and you're feeling great, that's okay. You can keep on working. If you're struggling a little bit, the only step I'd like you to start with is to rewrite this so that I don't have my divide signs anymore. I only have multiplication signs. So that's the first step I'd like you to do. So we're wanting to change these to times. So I want you to think about what we need to do. That's the first step. So I'm going to just give you a minute to try and do that on your sides. And then I'm going to talk you through that step, just so that everyone has the right numbers before trying anything further. At the moment, you're just trying to change those divide signs to multiplications. So think about your KFC.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
may I suggest, just for this one example, that we maybe ask the learners to put brackets over the first 2 terms, just so they can first focus on getting the first 2 right.
We can put brackets here.
Yeah, just to see if they can first do that right, and then check the third one.
Okay. Okay, so those of you who are just carrying on working, that's fine. Those of you who are struggling a little bit, I'm just going to talk you through what this next step looks like. So if we kept it with our brackets, we're going to have 2x squared over 3y cubed. And we're going to, so we keep the first fraction, we flip the second fraction, and we change the sign. Okay, so that's if we had our brackets. For those of you who haven't put your brackets in and you did this all in one step, you would say that we've got 2x squared over 3y cubed times, flip that fraction, 6 over 2x squared times, flip the second fraction, y squared over 6. Okay, so depending on where you were at, yours would look like that. Now, if you in the first situation, you would first work out what's inside those brackets, simplify that down to one fraction, and then we'll look at the second divide. Okay, so now your current goal, if you're at this point, is I want you to be focusing. So our first step was focusing on KFC. The second step is I want you to focus on cross simplification. Okay. So first step,
sorry,
KFC.
ma'am. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, the reason I thought of the brackets is just sometimes I find with learners, if they go the blue way, that's completely fine. But I also find that some learners, they forget a bit. So either method will work. So if you guys prefer the blue, by all means, go with the blue. But if you like the green, go with the green.
No, you must go whichever one you feel more comfortable with. 100%. Okay, so at the moment, you're just looking at cross simplification. So let's have a look. Get this green one in here. If I'm cross simplifying here, I'm going to say, well, 2 goes into itself, so they will cancel each other out. And my x squareds are going to cancel each other out, so that's already done. And then I can say, well, 3 goes into itself once and into 6 2 times. So I land up with 2 over y cubed. And then I need to look at what's happening in this fraction over here, because I've got it divided by 6 over y squared. Okay, so I'm just going to follow through with this green question, and then we'll look at the blue. Sorry, I'm going to run out of the space. So let me just write it again. 2 over y cubed divided by 6 over y squared. So now I'm going to do my KFC again. So I'm going to keep my first fraction, I'm going to flip my second fraction, and I'm going to change my sign. And then I'm going to do cross simplification. So 2 goes into itself once, 2 goes into 6 3 times. Y squared, I would be left with nothing up there, and I would have 1y down here at the bottom. And so for my final answer, I'm going to have 1 over 3y. Okay, so when you're looking at your y's here, if you're feeling confused by them, basically y squared is meaning I've got 2 y's, and y cubed is meaning I have got 3 y's like that. And so 2 of those y's will cancel with the 2 that are happening at the bottom. Okay, if you can't seem to get your mind around cross simplification, from that point over there, we can say 2y squared over 6y cubed, and then you can simplify your numbers and you can simplify with your variables. Okay, so you just sort of do it step by step. I'm just going to talk you through the blue one. And now if you were feeling a little bit lost in the green, listen carefully with the blue, because I think things might start coming together. Okay, let's have a look at our blue. Again, let's look at our cross simplification. That 2 can cancel with that 2. That 3 goes into itself once and goes into 6 2 times. Then I'm going to look at my x's. That x squared is going to cancel with that x squared. Now, the cool thing with cross simplification is that you can carry on cross simplifying as long as you are taking a top and a bottom. So over here, I'm going to cross simplify again. I'm just going to use a different color so you can see what I'm doing. I can say, well, 2 goes into itself once, and 2 goes into 6 3 times. And then I can look at my y's. Y squared will go into itself once, and y squared will go into y cubed fully, and I'd be left with 1y. And so I get to the same answer of 1 over 3y. We're just going to be doing it all in one step. Okay, so we just do it sort of step by step, one thing at a time, and we just kind of, we do the best that we can. All right, do we have any questions at this point?
We have one hand up now.
Is this average? Do you have a question for me? Okay, I'm going to move on then. All right. So now this one, you're going to be like, what the hell is going on over here? Because now we've got this totally different situation. We're not dividing or multiplying at all. But this is another important concept that we need to start thinking about. So it's like we're talking about these two individual concepts before we start bringing in some of the other things. At the moment, how many terms do I have at the top, and how many terms do I have at the bottom? Who can tell me? How many terms are at the top? Canva.
You have 2 terms at the top and 1 term at the bottom.
Good. I've got 2 terms at the top and I have got 1 term at the bottom. Okay. Now we have this very, very important rule that we are not allowed to simplify over terms. Okay, we're not allowed to do that. So I can't simplify things like that. I can't say, oh, well, 3 is going to go into 6 2 times and that x is going to cancel with that. I'm not allowed to do that if I've got a plus or a minus sign in the middle. I'm not allowed to simplify over terms. It's something that is very, very important in maths. We call it a complete breakdown because, you know, mathematicians, we're very dramatic people. But when people simplify over terms, we call it a complete breakdown and the teacher has to stop marking. So as soon as you do that, the teacher's not allowed to give you any marks from that point on because it's considered so mathematically wrong. So this is a very important thing not to do. We're not allowed to simplify over terms. But luckily, we have learned a way that makes things go from 2 terms to 1 term. What process have we learned where we take things that have multiple terms and we make it 1 term? Factorization. Exactly. Factorization is the whole point of factorization is to take many terms and make it one term. Okay, so we're going to look at that numerator over there, and we're going to say, well, we've got 3x squared plus 6x. How can I factorize? Who remembers the list that we write when we try to factorize? What is the first thing we always look for when we factorize? Owami.
We either look for the HCF,
Good.
difference of two squares. Oh,
Yes. Carry on going.
trinomial, and then
Yes.
the grouping.
Grouping. Yes. Okay. We're also going to add here now sum or difference of cubes. Okay. So can I take out a highest common factor here? Can I take out something from 3x squared and 6x? Canva.
Yes.
Yes.
What can I take out?
Take out 3x.
Good. I'm going to take out 3x. So I'm taking out 3x as my highest common factor, and I'm going to be left with x plus 2, and that is all over 6x. Okay. Now we just do a little check with ourselves. On our top, we've got one term. On our bottom, we have got one term. And because they are both one term, that means we are allowed to simplify. Okay, as soon as it is one term on the top and one term on the bottom, we're allowed to simplify, which is awesome. Okay, so now we can look at some cross simplification happening over here, even though it's like on one fraction. So it's just simplifying the fraction. Let's look at our numbers. We've got a 3 and we've got a 6. So what happens with that 3 and that 6? What can they simplify down to? How many? Yeah, Canva.
2.
Okay, good. So the 3 goes into itself once and 3 goes into 6 2 times. Okay, good and Corsi, excellent. Okay, then we have our x's. This x is going to cancel with that x and it's gone. So what we're left with is 1, which we don't need to write. So we've got x plus 2 over 2. Now my question to you is, am I allowed to simplify those two? Can I cross those two out from each other? Can I simplify them? Can I get rid of them? Okay, I'm seeing lots of no's. Can someone explain to me why no? What would I be doing? Owami?
Because it's a two term and you're not allowed to cross the thing.
Yes,
Two terms.
good. I'm not allowed to simplify over terms. Good. And so I'm not allowed to do that. So my final answer is just x plus 2 over 2. That is where I stop. Okay. So this is kind of going through a question step by step. We've spoken about getting more than one term to become one term at the top. Then we simplified those terms a little bit. We brought in some of our factorization. And we're going to try another one. Okay. Does anyone need to sit on this question any longer? Okay. Excellent. Try this one for me now. Great. Chantal, can you give me your answer? Or can you tell me what you did?
Okay, so I took a out of the brackets, and then in brackets I have b plus 1,
Good.
and then over a, and then b plus 1 over a, because a and a cross each other. I mean b plus 1, yeah. Because a and
Good. Good. So those A's are going to cancel each other out. That was excellent, Chantal. Well done. So I'm just left with b plus 1. Now, if you want to, you could also have written that as b plus 1 over 1. If you wanted to keep in your like brackets like that, that's absolutely fine. If you didn't want to and you just write it as b plus 1, that's also fine. So let's just talk about what processes Chantal did here. The first thing that she did was she took out a highest common factor. She had to do that because we had two terms at the top that we needed to make one term. And in order to make two terms one term, we need to factorize. Then she simplified with her a's, and she was left with the answer of b plus 1. Okay, cool.
Ma'am.
Yes, Nakabonga, how can I help?
What if you did the exact thing, but you said a open brackets b plus a close bracket? You didn't put a 1.
Okay, so the problem with that is you did some things right, but then if I wrote a b plus a over a, if I re-multiplied this, I would get ab plus a squared. And that's not what this is. It's not an a squared, it's just an a. So you've done something well by taking out the right highest common factor, but you didn't write what was in that bracket correctly. So you probably would lose 1 mark in the test.
Okay, ma'am, thank you.
Sure, no problem. Okay, let's try another one. Oh, sorry, I've got a question. Yeah, okay. I'm worried that my answer is wrong with this one. That's my, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you the same question that Anya and I gave the grade 9s. But I'm going to just quickly stop sharing for a second because I don't want you to see the answer, and I wrote the answer on the screen. Because I think that that question is going to take a stupid amount of time. Took me a very long time.
I think so too.
Yeah. Okay, so let's try this one instead. Okay, so I'm wanting to know what the number of the parking bay is that the car is parked in. That is what I would like to know. So all you need to do is let us know in the chat once you have an answer. Oh my goodness, how on earth did you get this so quickly? I'm so embarrassed that it took me so long because everyone just like jumped right in. Okay, so I think the first one who got it right was a P-Way. A P-Way got it right first, but then like everyone, oh, you did it in grade 6. I'm not surprising you. This is the problem. It took me so long to figure out this question, and everyone, oh, you just turned the phone over by mistake and you got it. Oh my goodness. I sat staring at this for so long when I was given this question originally. But for those of you who can't see it, the answer is 87. It's just upside down. So this is 86, this is 88, this is 89, this is 90, and this is 91. And so this parking bay is 87. But when I first saw this, I was like 16, 6, 68. Ooh, what is it? Okay, I can give you another one. Let's take this other one here. Here we go. I'll give you another one because you did that one too quickly. What kind of sorcery is this? I know. My question is more, what kind of sorcery does a P-Way like just have? Because that was so quick. Okay, let's see if anyone can get this answer and if it takes them a little bit long. Oh no, my goodness. Come on, guys. You're too smart. Seko got it in like 10 seconds. And then Chantal in like 14 seconds. Guys, I can't challenge you anymore. What am I doing? I'm gonna have to find something so hard next week. Because the rectangle one isn't hard. It's just like, I think it'll just take you a long time, and I don't want us to waste that time today. But the answer is definitely 4. I will try a harder one next week, Tuesday. So both of basically the giveaway for these ones is looking at these first 2 rows here, because something times itself, the only options that can be is 1. The only thing times itself that could be 1 is 1. And so then here, 1 minus 1 must be 0, 1 plus 1 must be 2, so 2 plus 2 must be 4. Yeah, exactly. You're too good at maths now. I've done too good of a job. Okay, let's just jump back into our algebra. Let's try and get our heads back straight. Okay, so it's exactly the same idea here, It's just that we now have got 3 terms happening at the top. We've got 3 terms here, and we've got 2 terms here. And I need both of those to be 1, which means I need to factorize my numerator and I need to factorize my denominator. Okay, we have to factorize both. And so when we factorize, we're going to think about all of the things we know so far. Highest common factor, difference of 2 squares, trinomials, grouping. Okay, and remember the list that we write, that's for 2 terms, that's for 3 terms, that's for 4 terms, and 5, which actually is also 2 terms. So it's like maybe we should write it as dots and socks. Does that work? Sum of cubes, sum and difference of cubes. I'm not too sure how we could write this, but let's think of a way. Okay. Tashfiqua, I think I'm saying your name wrong. Can you correct me on how to say your name properly? Oh, okay, great. Okay, tell me how you did this question.
Oh, ma'am, I just wanted to ask a question.
Oh, ask away.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask that the first one, we first have to do a trinomial since it's 3 terms.
You absolutely have to do a trinomial. Yeah.
And then with the second one, we'll do highest
Common factor.
Highest common factor.
Yes, good. Good. So with these ones, and like, because we're going to hopefully get to some like nice big long ones today as the lesson goes on, just remember to not sort of get intimidated by them and break them up step by step. So just look at them as one question. How am I going to factorize that, dude? How am I going to factorize that, dude? Because you'll get a mark for each thing. So you just do it step by step. Okay, and then I'm seeing that we have some answers of people who have finished. So I'm just going to give you guys 1 more minute, and then I'm going to go through this one.
Ma'am, something I used to do when I was actually back in school, especially if these we have to factorize the top and the bottom, I used to take my ruler or like a piece of paper and I would like cover the bottom so that I could only focus at the top on one time. Once I factorize the top, then I move my piece of paper or ruler to the top so I can only focus on the bottom. So that's also something you guys can do if you find it overwhelming to look at the whole fraction at once.
Yeah, absolutely. You can also use your ruler. So like anything that kind of covers something, it makes it easier to see. Okay, so let's have a look at this top one. So the top, we've got a trinomial happening. It's not a nasty trinomial because our coefficient here is 1, and with only 1, we can own the only factor pair of 1 is 1 and 1. So we're going to have x plus 1, and then at the bottom, we're going to take out a highest common factor. So this was a trinomial, and here we're going to take out a highest common factor of x, and I'm going to be left with x plus 1. Okay, so that's our first step. So if you're in a test situation right now, you would get a mark for factorizing that correctly and a mark for factorizing that correctly. Then we're going to simplify. So this x plus 1 can cancel with that x plus 1. And so my final answer is going to be x plus 1 over x. Am I allowed to simplify further and cancel those 2 x's?
No.
No, good, Nokobonga. I absolutely cannot because I would be crossing over terms, which I can't do. So that's going to be my final answer. Who managed to get this question 100% correct? Nice. I'm assuming these hands are telling me that you got it right. That's what my assumption is. Nice job, guys. Yeah.
Kevin's just asking just to please explain how you got to the trinomials 2 brackets, please.
Sure. Okay. So when we have, there's multiple ways to do trinomials, but when we have a nice, easy trinomial where we don't have any sort of scary number as the coefficient of our first term, we can just work with the factor pairs of our constant. And the only way we can get 1, like we just did in that fish puzzle, is by saying 1 times 1. So the only factor pairs I have is 1 and 1. And I'm trying to get positive 2. So that would be plus 1, plus 1. I'm splitting up my x squared as x, and then my 1 splits up as 1 and 1. However, if you want to do it the same sort of way that we've been looking at the grade 10 factorization, if you do the crisscross method, we first split up the first term. So we would have x and x. And then the only way we can split up 1 is 1 and 1. So remember we multiply diagonally. So x times 1 is 1x and x times 1 is 1x. We need to get positive 2x. So positive 1 plus positive 1 would give us positive 2, which means both of those have to be positives. And so this is going to be my first bracket, and that's going to be my second bracket. Okay, so now that we know crisscross because of grade 10, it makes the grade 9 ones a little bit easier to use crisscross when we want to. Okay, no problem, Kevin. Noah Bukazi, can I help? Do you have a question?
No, ma'am, I'm fine.
Okay, no problem. Oh, okay. I'm gonna. I got over ambitious with this question, guys. But we're going to. I'm just gonna do this for the moment. We are going to do 3 terms, hopefully by the end of this lesson. But for the moment, let's just do those 2. So what I would like you to do here is to not panic. That's the first goal. Okay. Take it step by step. You factorize that, and when you're happy, you factorize that, and when you're happy, you factorize that. And then you factorize that. And only once you have factorized everything do we need to start worrying about this divide sign and what that means for us. Your first step is just factorize everything. That's the first step. Step 1, factorize everything. So just do it one step at a time. Think about each step. The really, like, I know that these questions look really intimidating and scary, but it's actually quite cool, especially in test situations, because they are worth so many marks, because you get a mark for every single thing that you're factorizing. Like this would be worth at least 6 marks that you can just say, cool, I've got 6 marks in my pocket. Because if you do it slowly and carefully, you're fine. And they look way scarier than they are if you just follow these nice little steps. So just one thing at a time. So factorize each of those different blocks. Try and bring all your knowledge together from grade 9 and grade 10 and all of the work we've been doing over the last couple of weeks. And then we can start bringing it together. If you want to give your answers in the chat, if you want to sort of give them as a step-by-step, to make it easier, you could say like the answer for yellow, the answer for blue, the answer for green, the answer for pink. And if you're wrong, then we can correct you so that you can sort of make sure that you're okay as you move further down. So if you want some sort of reassurance as you're working, let us know what your answers are as you go. And Anya's on the ball, so she'll be able to help. Ataya Bonga, do you have a question? Oh no, hand's gone. I know that they're scary, guys. Just do it step by step. It's very satisfying when you get these answers right because it takes so much time. And remember, if it's out of 6 marks in the test, it means you can spend a nice amount of time on it. Okay, so let's see. Pink, x plus 4, x minus 4. Great in Corsi, that's great for pink. Given it's okay. It means your brain's working. Remember, your brain is a muscle. So if you think about like all of those people in gym who are like super bulked up and super muscular and fit, that's what we're doing to our brain. We're making it fit. We're growing the muscle that is our brain. So the pink, that was great so far. If you have other answers that you want to send through, send them into the chat and we can confirm whether you're right or wrong. Or if you sort of need a little bit of nudging or a little bit of help, just ask. That's what we're here for. Let's see, green. Green, Onako, that's great. 3x, x minus 4, that's beautiful. So far we're solid with green and pink. I'm going to put in those answers so long. See, yellow, we've got x plus 2, x minus 3. I like the numbers that you've used. You've used good factors. Your signs are just a little bit in the wrong way. Okay, so just be careful with your yellows. Blue, I'm liking that answer for blue. So for blue, if we take out an x squared, I'd be left with x minus 2. I've taken out the highest common factor. Just be careful with your yellow. I'm seeing quite a few signs that are...
Ma'am,
yeah.
is the yellow x plus 3 and x minus 2?
Yes, that is absolutely right. Excellent. Good. X plus 3, x minus 2. We did a trinomial there. Okay. So those are our 4 factorizations of this question so far. Is there anything that anyone feels uncertain about up at this point? So in yellow, we did a trinomial. In blue, we did a highest common factor. In green, we did a highest common factor. And in pink, we did difference of 2 squares. Is there anything we're uncertain with right now? Okay. So when we get to this point here, now we need to address the elephant in the room, which is this divide sign. Okay. And it's an important thing for us to address because if we don't address it, we're going to be simplifying things the wrong way around. When we have a divide, we think of KFC. So we keep the first fraction, we flip the second fraction, and we change the sign. So now some people prefer to do this in the first step. They like to do KFC right in the beginning, and that's absolutely fine. I like to factorize everything first because that's just how my brain works. I like to do sort of step by step, but if your brain prefers to do the division first, that's also totally fine. Okay, so I'm going to keep my first fraction, which we factorize beautifully. I'm going to flip my second fraction, and I'm going to change my sign. And so I have done my KFC. Now I'm just going to give you 1 more minute from here to try and finish off this question, to try and get your final answer. Just remember, if you want to ask something or if you want to give an answer, just use the little hands up emoji so we can call on you, just because we've got a big class. Emma, how can I help? Hello?
Emma, you need to unmute yourself, eh?
No?
Well, she said in the chat that she has an answer.
Oh, okay. Maybe she just wants to answer in the chat. That's okay. That's okay. But Emma, if you want to say it out loud, you can. Nokabonga, can you tell me where you got lost in this, from where to where? Talk to me. Let me know where the problem was.
I'm lost on the third step, the third step whereby we have to do the crisscrossing.
Okay, so up to this point, everything that's written on the screen so far, you're happy with?
Yes, it was correct. And then
Okay.
the step was confusing.
Okay, but so the next step is actually like our easiest step. It's a fun step. The next step, we just need to look for brackets that are exactly the same as each other, and we have to make sure one is at the top and one is at the bottom, and then we can cancel them. So I'm going to use a highlighter just so that it doesn't like change what numbers you can see at the bottom. So this x minus 2 is going to cancel with that x minus 2. They're going to go away from each other, and then this x minus 4 is going to cancel with that x minus 4. Okay, so what I land up with on my two fractions, I'm just going to rewrite them so that everyone can see, is I land up with x plus 3 over 3x times x plus 4 over x squared. That's what I land up with. Okay, and then I can't simplify that anymore. There's no more simplifying I can do. So I just have to multiply my top two terms, and I need to multiply my bottom two terms. And so when I multiply, I can just write it exactly like that. I don't need to do my whole FOIL situation. I don't need to multiply everything out. I can just write the two brackets next to each other. And at the bottom, I'm just going to say 3x cubed, because I'm saying x times x squared. And that's where my final answer would be. I'm just going to stop there. Beautiful, Nkosi, that was absolutely right. Great. So the thing with these questions is that they look very intimidating, but actually if you do them step by step, they're not so bad. Okay. I'm just going to move on so that we can try and fit in one more before we need to get you to do your quiz for the day. I'm going to do the same thing, and I'm going to take away one of these. I'm going to take away this one because we've done quite a bit of trinomials so far. Okay, so I just want you to do this question for me. This will be our last one for the night, and then we're going to get you onto your quiz because it's a Thursday. This one should feel a little bit easier than the last one. But just remember your steps. I'm not going to write them out for you now because we slowly need to wean off them. You need to get into the habit of doing them yourself. Think about your different factorizing steps. Break them down into things. I'll put your colors on though, because I know it's difficult learning from a screen. And if you want to check your answers, you can check your answers. One step at a time. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Do all your factorizing. And if you're happy with an answer, give us your answer and we will go through this one together. But you've done really well today, guys. This is a hard topic. And you've been awesome. Does anyone feel brave and want to try it with all of them? Can I make that an option for anyone who feels like trying? Okay. If you are not feeling comfortable with these, I only want you to look at those two over there. Okay, if you're not feeling comfortable, I only want you to look at those two. If you're doing okay with them so far, I want you to bring in those two as well. And there's a time sign in between them. Let's see if anyone wants to take the plunge. But remember, if you're not feeling comfortable, please don't panic. I only want you to look at those guys. And if you are feeling comfortable, bring in the other two as well. The other two, in all honesty, they actually make your answer a little bit nicer. Faith, absolutely, that's great for A. Okay, and for A, for yellow. Let me just write that in.
You don't know me.
Thanks for that lovely song, Ryan. Yeah. All right, so for A, we would definitely have A plus 1, A minus 1. And nothing's going to happen with our A squared. It's just A squared. There's no simplifying I can do. I'm seeing an answer from Sebo with the green. That's absolutely right. I'm going to make that A plus 1. We've got one more thing here to simplify, which is our pink.
You guys and girls are doing so well. Keep it up. Even my
Nice,
dogs
Chantal.
invested in this lesson.
That pink is great. The pink was great. And then I'm just going to add these extra 2 in here for those of you who are doing them. We're going to have A minus 1, A minus 1 over A plus 1, A plus 1. Okay. So now when you start simplifying, you just see what's going to cancel with what. That A minus 1 is going to cancel with that A minus 1. This A over here is going to cancel with that A over there. And so what we would be left with is A plus 1, which you could write as A plus 1 squared. You're welcome to write it like that, all over A squared. So that would be our final answer. And if you were feeling brave and you wanted to try it all together, let me just rewrite this over here quickly so I don't mess it up for everyone else. While I'm doing this, can you let me know who got this correct? Just let me know in the chat. If you landed up getting that one right. Nice job, guys. Okay, if you were feeling brave and you wanted to do all 3, let's see what would cancel. A plus 1 is going to cancel with A plus 1. A plus 1 here is going to cancel with that A plus 1. This A minus 1 is going to cancel with that A minus 1. This A is going to cancel with this A. And so the answer we would be left with is A minus 1, all over A squared. Was anyone brave? Did anyone try all 3 and get that final answer? Did we have any brave souls in this class? Chantal! Yes, well done. Zero, nice. Well done, guys. No, Nokobongo, remember, don't panic. We're all on our own journeys. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if someone has done something that you haven't done yet. We just focus on doing what we can do one person at a time. Nice job, guys. I'm really proud of you. You did really good work today. I'm very proud. Okay, I'm going to pass you on to Anya, and we are going to just finish off this lesson strong by going over getting you onto the quiz. And you're going to do the quiz, and I will see you all on Tuesday, and I hope you have a lovely weekend.
Okay.